Yesterday, Linda traveled 128 miles to visit her uncle. That's kind of a long ways. Her car used 4 gallons of gasoline. That's pretty good gas mileage. If Linda's car uses gasoline at the same rate, how many gallons of gasoline will her car use today when she travels 432 miles to visit her grandparents? So there's a couple different things, a couple different ways that you could solve this. The first way is to find out how many miles per gallon Linda gets. So let's take a look here. 128 miles per gallon. Oops, and I got to be able to write here. Miles per gallon, MPG, is really miles divided by gallons. Miles per gallon. So the miles divided by gallons, 128 miles divided by 4 gallons. 128 divided by 4 is 32 MPG. So you could take those miles per gallon, those 32, and at 32 miles per gallon, you could figure out how many gallons it would take for her to get 432 miles. So let's do 32, 432, and divide it out here. So 32 goes into 43 once. Whoops, 32 goes once there. And then I've got 112 left. And then it goes in 3 times. And I got 96 left. And then I've got, let me see here, 10 and 1, 6, 1, 6. So 16 over 32 is half, so that's 13.5. 13.5 gallons. Now, there is another way that you could get it by using a proportion. So let me show you how to do that proportion here. So let's do this using a proportion. So we've got 128 miles is to 4 gallons as, and you see the symbols that I'm putting in, I'll explain that in just a minute. 432 miles is to, well, we don't know the number of gallons, that's what we're trying to find out, so I'm going to put X gallon. Okay, so now, the way that you'll most normally see to solve a proportion is by cross-multiplying, because this is one of our fun little mathematical rules, that cross products are equal. So cross product, you may have seen this before. So I'm going to take the 4 gallons times the 432 miles. 4 times 432 equals, and then I've got 128 miles times X gallons. So 128 times X is 128X. Now I'm going to redraw this a little bit so it's a little easier to see here because I see it's getting a little big on my screen. So give me just a second here. So from the previous page now, I've got 128x equals 4 times 432. So now I've got to use my calculator to figure out what 4 times 432 is, because I don't know. I don't have any idea off the top of my head. It looks like it's 1,728. 128x equals 1728. And now I've got a one-step equation here. 128x equals 1728. So I know in a one-step equation, I've got 128x's. To get x by itself, I divide by 128. Since I did it on the left side, I do it on the right side. Divide by 128. And then I use my calculator once again, and I'm going to get x equals 13.5. And that's quite interesting because 13.5 is the same answer we got before. It's 13.5 gallons. So now let's take a look at the second part. Okay, so now the second part of it here. It says the average cost per gallon of gasoline is $3 including tax. Now the second part of this is actually pretty easy as long as you get the first part. Now one thing about gasoline, the one thing that will trip up a lot of people is you don't pay sales tax on top of gasoline. Sales tax is included in the cost of gasoline. Actually, a lot of different taxes are included in the cost of gasoline. There's all sorts of different taxes. The price of gasoline is actually mostly tax. Most of the price of gasoline is tax. But it's all, the price that you pay at the pump is the actual price. You don't have anything added on top of it like when you buy a pack of gum. So that $3 is the price per gallon. So let's see how many gallons it's going to take. We want to know what will be the total cost of gasoline, including tax, which is included in that $3 per gallon, for Linda to travel to her uncle's house and her grandparents' house. Now, that's the part that tripped me up. Look at that. Her uncle's house and her grandparents' house. Now, don't get lost right there. So let's find out how many gallons it takes to go each place. So we found on the previous problem that to visit her grandparents cost 13.5 gallons. And also it gave us that to visit her uncle took 4 gallons. So I'm going to look at the total number of gallons. I've got the 13.5 gallons, and that is grandparents. And the 4 gallons, that is the uncle. That's 17.5 gallons of gasoline. And I'm paying $3 per gallon, so 17.5 times 3. Let's see, it's 15, 21, 22, 3, 5, and then my decimal, 52.50. $52.50 for the gasoline. And that is a good example of an answer that will get you a 4 out of 4 on this problem. So the final answers are 13.5 gallons for the first part, $52.50 for the second part.